and welcome to the DM's Book Club, a weekly book club podcast where we talk about some Dungeons and Dragons and discuss how we might include them in our role-playing campaigns. You can tell it's Thursday, so a little bit less energy, but also I like how Hamilton also does the interpretive dance now, so we get our energy up.
Anyway.
How are you doing, Hamilton?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, it's a really sunny day in England this Thursday. We've had rain, so it's nice to have the screen blown out. If you know what I mean. Like,
it doesn't look like you're about to be raptured, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or you're in heaven already or something. It's like the afterlife, and it's like, you just got to go through the door, Hamilton, that's it.
Yeah, I'll stay a bit longer. It's fine.
Stay a bit longer and talk about D&D with me, that's how it works. Yeah,
exactly. But how are you? How are you doing?
Yeah, currently, look, it's dark outside for me, as I'm 6 hours behind you. It is -3 Celsius, which is not as cold as it has been in the last couple of weeks. The worst it was -19 Celsius, which I appreciate. Yeah, it's disgusting. And also, I can imagine Canadians and other people in America go, what the fuck are you talking about? It's not cold at all. And I'm like going like, no. Like,
I think we're up here, yeah.
Yeah, I originally came from the north of England, and that was wet and cold, but that doesn't prepare you for the polar vortex. You know, that's the everyone keeps going, oh, you're here for the winter. Are you here for the polar vortex? And you're like, what polar vortex? I now know what that is.
Yeah, it's like a really shit version of the what's the one we get, the jet stream. Like, you have the jet stream that keeps us nice and warm, that's why we get a temperate climate. You get the polar vortex, it's like, oh, that sounds worse.
It's like something out of Superman 2 or something like that. No.
Not the polar vortex.
We must do something.
Use your X-ray visions, Booperman. 100%. I think I was listening to a Bill Bryson a while ago. But I remember him saying about the weather. He said, like, in America, like, you have the extremes and it's intense, but it's constantly changing and it's never dull. Whilst the weather in Britain is nice at the time, so freaking dull because it's just grey and raining. And so it's drudging. And then I saw a thing the other day talking about like British Marines, and they were saying they say oh, you can go and train in like the Arctic, and yes, it's freaking cold. You can go train in the desert. Yes, it's really warm and bloody hot and you're sweating. But there's nothing worse. The worst place to train is in the Lake District because it's muddy, it's wet, it's just awful. And it's like, and if you can survive the Lake District, you can survive anything.
That's like, so funny.
And it was like, I kind of get that because when it's really cold, you just wear more warm clothes and you kind of muster through. But when it's just like caked in mud and it's wet and everything you're wearing is just drenched through, and I just had flashbacks to my D&D thing at the Lake District and just being like so miserable.
I have my theory about the Lake District. I won't go too much into detail on this podcast, but essentially, because I lived near the Lake District along, when I was back in England and growing up and stuff like that. But I never visited, and I never did D&D or anything like that. But everyone always talked about how wonderful the Lake District was. Oh, it's amazing. Oh, you should go, etc. And then just before I left, I did go and visit, and it was fine. The problem was there was so many tourists. It was, unfortunately, it was Easter time, so it's busy and it was packed. And I was just like, oh. And it's one of those things where, like, again, I've always been a city person. I've always been a city girl. I've done my time in the countryside, and I was like, it's very nice, it's very pretty, but also, weather-wise, the hills are so steep. And so I have this theory that the Lake District is just an eldritch being, and he goes, you should come to the Lake District. And then you pull people in, and then they're like, ooh, everyone else should come to the Lake District. And it just pulls people in into like mass capacity, and then something bad will happen. So stay away from the Lake District. It's like stay away from the dog park.
It is pretty, but you're also, I can totally see why folk horror, like you're doing Solemn Vale, fits so well with English countryside, because they're, and Hounds of the Baskervilles and the moors, and all these, like the Bodmin, the Bodmin Beast and all these things.
Yeah.
It feels so appropriate because there is something like eerily beautiful about them.
Yes.
If that makes sense. Like they're super stunning in their own way. And there's something that's why, it's chocolate box sort of like pictures.
Yes. Yeah.
There's something super creepy about that because it's actually really miserable at the same time.
It's really miserable. There's no phone signal. There's no Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly. Even bloody compasses don't work in the Lake District.
Oh, well,
Did you know this? Because they've got... All right, so we found this out when we were there on our DV. If you got the crags, it's got so much granite, like graphite, sorry, under the thing, because this is where they used to mine the graphite for pencils
Yeah.
and stuff. Hence Kendall Pencil Museum or whatever it is. Yeah. And so it's got so much that it fucks with magnetic poles. But to be fair, now you say Cthulhu, I'm like, it's not that they're just saying it's graphite.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's clearly Cthulhu
some sort of cult going on. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. There you go. Where's that Chaosium module based in the Lake District? That's what I want to know.
Totally.
All right, Hamilton, what are we talking about today? What is our topic of choice?
Nothing as interesting as what we've just talked about, because we're talking about what has probably a really cool title, but it's called Hold Back the Dead.
Yes.
But I would say to everyone, we are, as a podcast, we're not sponsored by mobile tower defense games, but today we are, because today... Much like those adverts for mobile tower defense games where they've got really cool art and a really cool name and this visual of like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. And then you open up the game and realize it's a fucking pile of dog shit. Sorry, that's going to be a lot of swears there. It's an absolute pile of poo that, and nothing like what you expect it to be. This is what we have today for you.
Yes,
so,
this is yet another sort of free adventure that has been given out in the, I would say the year of our D&D, but like, you know, the 50th anniversary with the new Player's Handbook and Dungeon Master's Guide, and obviously the Monster Manual that is not out at current time of recording, but they're basically throughout this year, I think, they're just giving out sort of free supplements so you can get to grips with the system as well. So again, going in with this, imagining that you're playing D&D for the first time, perhaps, and you're getting to grips. And so we've covered previously the Elemental Science, which was like a rehash, a very basic rehash of the Temple of Elemental Evil. And then, this Hold Back the Dead, which isn't, I believe, based on anything. It is just a sort of like, I guess we need another one of these. And essentially, you are heroes that got to defend a section of the fortress of Ironspine Keep, and that's it, pretty much. But it's the same pre-made characters that we had from the previous Elemental Science. So those animated heroes, Bobby, Diane, Eric, Hank, Presto, Sheila, and of course the new cleric Nico. And so so we thought, sorry, maybe once bitten, twice shy. Let's go and look at this particular one, the Hold Back the Dead, and see, because it is different to the previous one. The previous one felt like a more bog standard. Here is a dungeon crawl. Here is a quick adventure, 3 rooms, done sort of thing. Hold Back the Dead, as you said, is definitely more combat focused, and I think its core has an all right concept of like a siege happening at a particular at a fortress, this Ironspire Keep, and an okay story behind it, like a reason why. But as we're going to probably talk about, I don't know.
Fails to the execution, really. It really does.
Yeah, I feel like this definitely is a one session, and that's it. I mean, if anything, these two adventures that are for the 50th anniversary, they are definitely like, well, let's do one session and see how it goes. I think that it has the bare building blocks of that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, as I said, like with those like tower defense games, it is like a lot of the stuff in the background seems like this. I felt like, this could be really interesting, because they said like the key focus of it is this defense of this. Forget the name of the keep. It's gone right out of my head.
Ironspire
Keep. It's because I've got a cold iron keep in my Wraithborn thing, so I'm like, that's why I keep getting mixed up. The Ironspire Keep, and so you think, oh, cool, you're going to be defending a fortress. This is going to talk about like different ways of combat, how to do like sieges, and looking at maybe teaching DMs like different ways of managing combat on a mass scale as well. So I was expecting some rules potentially for like hordes and stuff like that, because I know a lot of people talk about the things they loved about 4E was the minion rules and the sort of like battle master rules they had for like generals. They had like a whole series of information for like running larger mass battles or having lots more minions, and which are really cool rules. And I thought, this is what they're going to do. But actually it fails then when you get to the execution of it. So it feels like someone sat there and had a really good idea, and then they either didn't pass it on to someone who knew how to do the other stuff, or they ran out of time, or it was just trying to be quick. my other point is, you said like it's about getting people into D&D.
Mm,
I don't know why they're doing that. I don't, like
yeah.
we've got a load of starter adventures, as you mentioned last time. They're
Mm,
all really good, and people do have a lot of affection for some of them.
yeah.
And so, in the celebration of 50 years of the game, it feels super ironic to spend most of that time dealing with introducing new players to things.
Mm,
And I mean that because I think that's super important, but I think they've already done that. But I think they've had it literally is in the title.
yeah.
We're 50 years into the Gary Gygax, and people kind of know what D&D is now. And
Yeah.
so I think it's ultimately fair for them to go, here are one-shot things or really interesting things for people who've played this game for 10 years now or something like that.
Mm,
I know and I don't mean to negate new players at all, but I
no.
think it seems ironic.
I feel like what it is that there's a mixture of like everything we've looked at previously. A lot of it has been levels 1 to 10 or something like that.
Mm.
It's meant for like introductory levels and fine. So there is that element to it, but also certainly with this and the previous adventure, it is like nostalgia. Hey, these are the characters from the animated series, and like there's another one called Uni and the Lost Horn, which is also based on the
Yeah.
animated series. We don't need the nostalgia. Like I get it, like it's a nice thing, but it just feels like, if anything, it feels patronizing to play. Like this particular game, again, as this thing, I'm like, I guess if you're brand new to role playing games and running a game, sure, but like,
But then that's contrary again, because if you're brand new to this, you have not watched the
yeah,
1980s D&D series. Now, I'm not saying that there will be one in a million people or whatever who have seen the series in the 80s, played then and thought, let's get back into D&D now.
yeah,
Maybe.
yeah,
But again, the conceptual nature of this, of like, as I said, like the 50th anniversary doing new player stuff, and they're new players, so let's give them the nostalgia of something from the 80s, which is now 45 years
yeah,
ago, or 35 years since the end of it. Like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
it seems freaking ironic.
It
I
just,
don't know.
yeah, no, again, it's that sort of thing where I think like the reason why we always talk about the Lost Mines of Fandelver and the Shattered Obelisk, people loved that starter set because you had the story throughout, but then you had all these other NPCs and characters, and you could spend your whole campaign doing it. It was meant to be like 6 sessions of it, but you can do that. It means something, like, and you develop these bonds as a player. Whereas there's no connection between these two adventures, the Elemental Scions or the Hold Back the Dead, necessarily. They're not even in the same world as we
No.
found out, which I thought was really
Yeah.
wild.
So
Because
somehow level 4 characters are planeswalkers.
yeah, they've had their spark, from our Magic the Gathering talk the other day. So yeah, it just, yeah, I think what it is like I can imagine you go, okay, I assume there'll be another one or two more of these particular like one shots, which are just straight one shots, one session done. And I'm like, well, okay, well, how will you connect the two? There's no mention to how you would connect this to the other one, because I can imagine it like, okay, they're now level 5. And you go, well, we've heard that there's some trouble over at Ironspine Keep. Can you go? And that will be the next, I think you'd want to connect them. It feels like they're too separate as a result. And also, there's been a bit of time since this one's come out. Like, we had the Elemental Scions out last year. This one's only just come out. And it's like, is this in time? What's this in time for? Is this in time for the Monster Manual, the DM's Guide? Like, it's just, and there's no fanfare, no nothing. It's just been like plopped onto D&D Beyond, where both you and I were like, oh, I guess we can have a look at this. So yeah, I think we're going in yet again. And I appreciate, as you were saying, like, oh, we're always going in negative. But I think it's important because, like, if there's a lot of content coming out for the next iteration of D&D, we want to make sure that like all people are excited for it, no matter if you're brand new to role-playing games or if you're an old veteran. There should be something for everyone. What's the hook for that? I go, hey, let's get Hamilton and a couple of his friends will play Hold Back the Dead. They're going to really love it. It's going to be a different D&D session to anything else that I can come up with. Because it's one of those things where I've said this before. I stick to rules. I stick to modules quite a bit. I hold onto it tightly, and then I jump off and do my own improv thing. I read this and gone, I would change so much a lot about it that it would just be Fiona's own module. And I always think that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. But it's one of those things I'm like, I have to do a lot of work in order to make this, to run this as my own thing.
I just think if you listen to this show on a regular and you see how like we engage with these things, there's a few ways that sometimes you just go, that's perfect, something needs to change. But there's two ways that you change it, right? And I think they are the two polar opposites of the game. There's the one which we've got today, which is something that just fails so short of the mark that you have to change it to make it functioning. And we've had that a lot with Wizards content recently.
Yeah.
There are other ones where we read them and we go, but what if you add this and what if you add that? Because we're so excited about them that you want to change it because you're like, this is such a great idea. I want to reshift this and move this about and stuff like that. And I am feeling like, a lot of this stuff, we are coming into this like, this is annoying. But then like the 10 Towns, we were like, oh, we enjoyed it. We liked the place. We just thought there was things we need to add to it to make it better.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's I think I feel a bit like, oh, it's grumble ranty time.
So the basic concept of the story, again, I don't think we'll go into too much detail because there's not that much detail there, is that you, for whatever reason, whether you've been recruited, asked to go, or forced to go, depending on like which town you've gone into, you are sent to Ironspine Keep, and then the sort of like the halfling sort of I don't want to say general, sort of like a soldier there goes, oh, thank God you're here. Well, normally this is guard duty. Unfortunately, we're having like almost like a Plants vs Zombies type thing where all these zombies and skeletons are coming over because Szass Tam has now claimed this keep. Szass Tam. Have I said it wrong? Oh, no.
Oh, no, what's his name? I think it's, Szass Tam.
Szass Tam. There you go. That's how little knowledge I know about this sort of thing. The main sort of red wizard of Thay has claimed it for his own, to the point where a very cool bit happens off screen that you don't see, which is that his visage just comes up and claims that everyone keep away, and you're like, wouldn't that be great if the players actually saw that rather than you got told it? Like,
that would be a much better way if you turn up and you start working on the building and then
yeah, exactly. Like, what the fuck is that? Goes, hello, is this thing on? I'm repeating my message from earlier because it didn't say it'd been delivered. This message, this sort of big vision in the sky, warning people away, saying, "Now this is my keep, and if people are there, they're going to get destroyed by my waves of the horde zombies." And it's like, okay, but we're gonna stay, we're gonna stay true and keep this because it's important for the big cities in the Sword Coast, which I thought great, amazing. And then you get asked as players, which one of these 5 areas of the keep do you want to be on? And you're like, okay, maybe they're going to be very different from each one, and maybe you're going to have to cycle between them, like have 5 different whatevers. No, they're just the same story, slightly different siege weapon in each place. And also the siege weapons are so similar that you could just swap them around.
There's only one that's good as well, and there's only one that's good. And like I looked at like the one that's good is the one that does an area of effect damage, because you're why do they not do an AOE attack? Oh, anyway, we'll come on to them. But you're right, and they've got these 5 things. We all know them. Baldur's Gate, yay! Everyone's played the game. Mithril Hall, which is our companions of the hall. Hall.
I was like, I recognize that. Yeah. Neverwinter, a Silver Moon, and Waterdeep are the main,
which we will journey to in our
Dritz novels.
Dritz novels.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, you get a bit of a map about it, and I'll say each bit of the map is exactly the same. Like if you took, like, say, the Baldur's Gate one and then just turned it on its side, that's probably going to be Neverwinter. It's just like they've just repeated the map again. I will say, understandably so. If you are a DM that is making the siege stuff up on the fly, you only need one idea and then repeat it 5 times. I get that.
But why? Why bother? Yeah. Why bother having 5 if you're not going to do something interesting with it? Why
don't you just assign them? Hey, you know what? We're going to assign you to the North Wall at Baldur's Gate, right? I hope that's okay. Or you just replace names. I just feel like you've got maps for them, and you've got different, in quotation marks, siege weapons. Maybe you give them, hey, here's a platoon of people. Oh, they're elven archers. Oh,
exactly.
They're dwarf artificers or whatever. Just something additional, and whatever that interests the players can do it rather than there's not enough anything. It's boring as hell.
You can be on the high wall. You can be down on the ground fighting them off. You can be with the archers. You can do all these different things. You can be.
It's Helm's Deep, Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It should be freaking Helm's Deep today. I want freaking, it's not the same. I know that this is not the line from it, but you want that. I know it's the king Rohan says it at a different time, but you want this is a dark day, death. You want that sort of power. And this is so much like Grima Wormtongue sort of spat you in the face and said, "Go on, have a go at it." It's like ridiculous. It's so bloody boring. And you're right. Like I thought, like the dwarven one. Why is it not like some really cool contraption that you can do loads of different things with, or it's got like it's a more defensive weapon, so it's like it puts up big shields and like why is there not really cool elven magic one that does like blasts of magic and shit? But Silvery Moon are totally like, it's literally the home of like wizards, like of the sorcerers and everything. Like why is that not? They have Silvery Moon has a secret magical bridge to enter it, and you can't see it, and it's sort of, if you walk, and why is that sort of not brought in? It'd be really
that'd be really cool. So like look up and you see people fighting on invisible bridges, and then suddenly someone just falls off and you're like, how are they doing that magic? It's like, oh, they've got secret defenses where they could lower and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. And Waterdeep's just loads of really like fancy looking people. They're all just like nobles.
Oh, no. they're throwing gold at you. Go away.
Yeah,
away.
just go away. Just paying them. No. Yeah.
Yeah, each of these particular siege weapons, I guess maybe, again, the good thing is that they're not so different. So again, it's a lot of them are just like, roll to hit. One is everyone else rolls to save against it. And there's like different things. But then it gets like, there's an action to load it. And then sometimes there's an action to point it. And then sometimes there's an action to use it. And you're just like going like, I get it. Each of these are different, but there's nothing great about it. Like, what if you miss? What if you spend 2 turns of like load? There's like all of it should be, I agree, area of effect spells or areas, whatever. So and everything takes damage as a result, rather than like pointing and then it just misses constantly. That's the thing. It just wasn't very interesting. And I was like, well, it's like pick a place, any place, and you go, well, there's nothing about it where, because I can imagine the halfling person going like, okay, well, you're from Waterdeep, so maybe this one, but we need some help on these defenses, and here's what you get, and everyone goes, so what's the difference? What's the highlights? Yeah. There's not a reason for people to be there other than like, we don't have people on this defense. So I wondered if they're, again, trying to make it a seed hook in there somewhere that, your friends are on the Waterdeep defense. So maybe you want to, an NPC that you met before, and so you maybe want to be with them, or that sort of thing. Like, or even, and I know this is going to sound wild because again, this might be your first time playing or first time running an adventure, splitting up people. Splitting up the party between 2 or 3 different places, and then you're going to bits of them in the battle, which just would be a bit more interesting because then you have to spend your resources a little bit more. And like, 'cause the actual fights, the actual waves and stuff like that, yes, there are a couple of zombies and stuff like that, but you're level 4. I think you're pretty good unless you have some really bad dice rolls. And like, unless you're the fighter who probably won't have anything to do in that first wave because everyone else is just shooting ranged weapon attacks. Like, you're just like, well, I'm just gonna stand here and feel cool and majestic. I don't know. It's Just
gonna stand here and look cool. I think. Well, I was thinking that as well. I was like, it would be so much cooler to like one person goes to each of them and then give them people to interact with, like from those places as well. Or or feel like you have to move around and you're more commanding it, like you're going round and being like, do this and stuff like that. But which I think it just feel, as you said, like I don't think there was a necessity for the 5 different. I think it could be like this is your side. You can pick 3 siege weapons, right?
Yes.
Don't make it fun. And you just choose, these are what we've got in the store, roll them out, whatever you want to take.
Which one do you want? Yeah.
We need you on the east wall because that's why it's great you're timely here, because the east wall's already been blown out or something like that. Or like we lost our people that were defending the east wall. That's the reason you've been sent, is to guard the east wall. And so that's where they're coming from. And then we have only these siege weapons. This one does area effect. This one does like a big singular blast, but does like 2 of them. And this one is like a defensive one, and you can go out there. And you can leave, and we've got people, if you want to leave them in charge, and you go down there, and it would just feel so much more just more like in your hands. It feels like a really crap.
I like that you get to choose what the siege weapon is, and maybe you describe like the east wall is really blown out. What do you think we should do? Should we like and give them agency to decide what the defenses are, because then it's like, okay, here's the consequence. Oh, no one defended this wall. Okay, it takes, you roll for it. You like go, okay, well, if you're using your minion or your horde rules, you're like, okay, well, it took this amount of damage, so it's looking really weak. And then you're like, well, snap decision. Do you send someone to go? Does Presto the wizard go, wait, I'll go sort it out, and then they're gone for 2 rounds or something like that?
Yeah.
And also the maps as well. Again, like I said, they look pretty generic. And again, I know it's just like, we're just going to get them out and people can play with them, etc. But it would be cool if we saw like what happens if the walls do take a number of attacks, or there's lots of things. Suddenly, we've got a broken bit of wall, and then you're going into that Helm's Deep. People are fighting on the ground rather than up on the wall itself, and just a little bit of change,
Exactly. And give them a Legolas. Have a really cool elf with an arch who jumps over and starts like sliding on skateboarding downstairs and shooting people with arrows. Like, give them those moments. Make people. If you want to get people into D&D. Them live freaking Lord of the Rings.
Make them feel cool.
Exactly.
Because let's face it, like running combat for me, and I don't know about yourself, it's one of the hardest things I find as a dungeon master. So maybe this is a way for like you to simulate like very basic sort of fights that increase in difficulty and getting people used to it. So I get that, but also like I would love to have like roll a random table. Oh no, an ogre comes and it's trying to break down a wall, but it looks quite injured. So it's not a full strength ogre, first level 4 or something like that. Suddenly, as we see, like second wave, second wave, third wave, or whatever. The siege weapon, it fires back. Someone's tampering with the siege weapon that you have. What are you going to do? Like rather than have it as separate, like first wave, second wave, siege weapon tampering, and then warlord, which comes right at the end, and you're just there like. Oh.
But like, it could be really cool one like. You randomly like have like some hazards to randomly roll, like a big bomb comes from out of nowhere and hits and takes loads of damage. One of the red wizards joins the battle but doesn't attack anyone, charms a bunch of other people to attack you. So like all they're doing, so you don't get like have to fight a red wizard at level 4, but you have to fight guards, and you have to figure out like. And then you get a moral consequence of, do we attack to not kill? Do we attack because these people, we're being attacked by our own people, but they're being controlled. So how do we deal with this? And like, make it really frenetic and dangerous. Because I honestly do enjoy running combat. I think I've had, I don't know, I really enjoyed the combat we did in our Warhammer thing. And I enjoyed some of those combats because I think it sometimes can be really fun if it's close to the line and people are nearly dying and it's all on the edge. But this doesn't feel like that. It feels very boring.
but I liked what you said about like it's like making a choice. I actually would like a red wizard of Fate to turn up, but like you said, it's just in the background. You go, oh my god, who is that? And then it's up to the players to go, I want to make an attack or I want to do something. Because then it shows like, oh, you are a threat. And like the wizard won't ever do anything. Maybe it's an illusion, maybe it's whatever. But then they're seeing you and they go, look at these adventurers. We'll get you next time, into the mist, Yeah,
exactly. Or like, as you said, like you're breaking their concentration.
Yeah.
Because they're like, maybe you've got like one wizard for every 8 skeletons and 2 ogre zombies as it's got. And actually what they're doing is they're necromantically like puppeteering them or something like that.
Yes.
So if you, and like, have it like a thing for them to figure out, and if they attack them or they get hit by an AoE, you realize it breaks concentration and one of the zombies just crumples to the ground.
Exactly.
And you can see them like trying to rework the spell, and then when you defeat all their zombies, you can see that they're like wasted all their magical energy. That's what you say. So like they use all their spell slots up, so they just run away or they teleport away.
Yeah, they can just dimension door or whatever. Yeah, exactly. So it's not so you are not blowing out your players for doing a really good job about fending off these zombies and these skeletons and all that sort of thing. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that said, like I did like the deception. So they, you have these sort of the first wave things come up, and then the second wave is like people are throwing skeletons and whatnot onto the battlements, which I quite enjoyed. I like the idea of like of these skeletons. So, but there's not enough of that. I feel like the first and second wave should combine a little bit. But again, the idea is like then we take a pause, then we take a break, and then you have this imposter come in who pretends to be the halfway going like, oh, we're just going to check on your siege weapons, and you're supposed to, I don't know how, like see through them because they say like, oh well, you said you didn't have any extra help, but you've got 3 stewards with you, and I'm like, No, I think there's got to be
it's not
something.
going to see through that.
You got to give them something else, and I don't know what that would be necessarily.
And then it goes, they notice because they start attacking the weapon, and you're like, well, they're not very good at deception, then, are they? If they just start...
just like, hello, remember me? Eyes shifty. It's like, oh, we're just going to take your siege weapon in the middle of a battle. No, I think I like the idea of the doppelganger. That's what it is, of hiding in and stuff like that. So I like that, but I like the idea that they go, hey, I need you on the battlefront, and it's the person that's done the most damage or whatever in that round. Go, hey, I need you on this elsewhere, and then you get taken. Maybe I don't know into
inside the keep, and then they just try and attack it. They just
exactly because they've gone. We need to get rid of the spellcaster. We need to get rid of the fighter or whatever. I just think I think that's just more interesting than siege weapon. I mean, you can also damage the siege weapons. There's no problem with that. But I just thought, let's make it personal. Let's make it because then
totally agree.
Because then it's up to that person to go, you're acting really weird, and then going. You notice that their eyes blink the opposite way or something like that, and you go, "Oh no, who is this?" So I think again because that'd be like, it's just something that you remember about the session because like anyone could like have a hack slash at the siege weapon, but like if you take someone and go, "Yeah, we really need you," and then you just you go, "Wait, you're not Callie," and they go, bloody wizards, teeth comes in, and maybe then they get tied up or they get knocked out, and then the doppelganger takes their position, and then
and that's the sabotage.
That's the sabotage. Exactly. So because I like that idea you're talking about the wizards charming people and all that stuff. I think that's more interesting than just wave after wave.
And you try and pass a note to that player. You say like,
yes.
You just say like, pass a note. Like, oh, they're going to tell you something in secret, and I just so that you don't know, I want it to be that you can tell them yourself. So I'm going to give you this like pass piece of paper. That's what it says. Here's the paper. You are now a doppelganger. When you go back out there, you're dead, or something like that.
And this is your mission.
Yeah.
This is your stuff.
And give them a little speech and say this, like, oh, okay, they've just said we need to adjust the mangonel so that it does this. They're just and so that's what we've got, right? Rip it up. Yeah, take it away.
You know what? It reminds me so much of like again when I played Fandelver all those years ago, and then I got someone in our party got taken over or got switched, not by a doppelganger, something else, and they were acting really weird. I think they got suggestions or something like that, and I had no idea. And then I got knocked out by them, and because I was like, I guess this is just how D&D is. And I was so much on the back foot, but I loved it because I was like, something's not right. What is it? And so I loved that you as a player getting involved with the story. Again, consent, session 0, blah 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 blah. But I just was like, it feels active. This feels like we have to do something now, and you just engage it because it's your character that got picked to be swapped out. So that again, look how we've improved this already rather than doppelganging.
This is what we should call the DM's book club now. Come to the DM's book club for the better way to play all your D&D games.
The best way to play it,
the best way to play anything by wizards. Just come to us and we'll help you realign it. And that's teaching. If it is for new players, that teaches new players like the really cool shit you can do with D&D. Like use these doppelgangers to a really effective, instead of it being like, oh, so you just use a doppelganger to go, oh la di da, I'm not breaking your machine, la 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 la. Like it's just stupid. I guess the final battle is slightly cooler. Only because it's a really cool monster inherent in the monster, which is that you get a wraith, and I think wraiths are really cool.
Yes,
because when they die, they go to 0 hit points. They then explode into 3 shadows, which means you've just got like that Dark Souls second evolution version of fighting, which I think is just it's a nice thing to teach new players.
I think that's good because again, I would have that because we talked about that red Wizard of Fate being there and controlling. They go, and then maybe they conjure up this warlord and they go deal with them, and then they disappear, and you're like, because then this is like your Lord Soft version. Because again, this adventure could take place in any and he says like you can switch out the red wizard for Lord Soft or whatever. I like the idea that you just see it coming to and you're like, what the hell is that? And you're like, this is like the big health bar comes up, and it goes warlord, and you go, what's that? And it just it flies onto the parapet, and you're just like going, oh no. And I really like that, and having that second form, again, something different. I've never thought about having like a something changes into a second form, and like shadows are awful. I hate shadows. They are scary.
They're really hard, and wraiths and shadows are really hard to kill as well, because you have to have magical weapons, I believe, don't you?
Looking at it,
no, not for Not for shadows, but I believe wraiths because they have to be
No,
magical
Wraiths
weapons.
do damage resistances, acid, bludgeoning, cold, fire, piercing, and slashing. Nothing about magical.
Yeah,
So
so
it's
they're
still
resistant to piercing and slashing. Oh, that's it. So they're just resistant. That's it. So you half damage from normal attacks, which is and actually magical attacks as well. But they also you can move through objects. It can flow through you and stuff. But I thought it was a non-magical one. Well, I thought one of them is definitely has to be a magical a weapon.
maybe
But
I can't remember off the top of my head, but like yeah, Wraiths have like life drain. Shadows also have that draining effect on various abilities as well. Wraith also has Create Spectre, so when it targets a humanoid corpse within 10 feet of it that's been dead for no longer than a minute, the target's spirit rises as a spectre in the space of its corpse and the nearest object. So you all those
yeah,
zombies,
they've changed it. They've
have
changed
they?
it for the wraiths. Yeah,
Ah.
normally the normal one is bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks that aren't
Of course,
silvered.
this is a special one for the Hold Back the Dead. Yeah, they've done some changes for it, which again totally makes sense if you're just starting, like if you're learning how to do it. But yeah, but imagine like the Wraith arrives and you've just surrounded by all these skeletons and you go, you just clicks its fingers and then more specters come. You're like,
Yeah.
fuck, no, like yeah, brutal. I love it. As a result, the Wraith can have no more than 7 specters under its control at any one time. But you can imagine like it's just like I'm just going to keep every turn. I'm just going to create action to. I mean, it makes more sense to do the life drain for sure. But I'm not there going like, oh, another, and just keep. You're like, stop it, no more.
It's good. It's very good. And actually, this is what I like about it is some of the like these monsters are really cool in the sense of like they're dark, they're grim, they're sort of like they've got like really good sort of like artwork that goes with them.
Yeah.
So I think it's a fun thing to do, and like also the fact that it creates its own a spectre. It can target a humanoid corpse, and the spirit rises spectre in the space of the corpse near it, and then that's under the control. So if one of your party dies as well, you can have this sort of
Yeah.
horrific moment where it like raises their spirit as an undead spectre, and I think that's kind of
Yeah.
like. I don't know. It's nice to have a little bit of the horror element that can be in D&D into it. It's
Yeah,
kind of fun.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and Wraiths are challenge 5 as well, so it's
It's
like,
quite
oof.
yeah. It's tough.
And also because this is happening at night as well, because you start this siege in the early afternoon, and then it gets darker and darker. So I can just imagine because there's this idea of like a magical mist as well that like gives people like half color or something like that. So again, it's just like, oh, this is bad. We are screwed. So, but then again, if I guess what I would do maybe for this is that if it's looking very bleak, like it looks like it's going to be a total party kill, I actually would pull as a GM for this. The cavalry arrives, like suddenly light comes up, and like the reinforcements have arrived. You've just held off, because I feel like, again, depending on how people want to do it, I just feel like it'd be more interesting to like be like, what is this creature? What is the red wizards? Rather than just being taken out completely. Suddenly they're forced back, and you were there, and it's like,
Yeah.
hey, you saw them. Could you go to? Can you go to Thay? Rather than like, you win, you beat them back, hooray, and then end of story. I think it would just be like if you wanted to like, again, maybe it's too much. Deus Ex Machina type thing, but I just think like you're like, this is really bleak. How are we going to stand up against it? And maybe they do a cool move, and you're like, and then the rest of the walls come and help you, and all the people on there. So I just think like again, there's a real like Helm's Deep against the dark. The Riders of Rohan turn up. You're like,
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
hooray!
that's what you want. Yeah, or like even if there's not the daylight, like if you find it's coming difficult with the specters or whatever, and that the wraith and they're not surviving,
Yeah.
have Lariel Silverhand or the
Yes.
person from Silvery Moon that's gone right out of my head come out of the thing with a fantastic sunbeam effect out of their staff, in
Yes,
the
that's
Gandalf
cool. Yeah.
way of the whoa, making all the dead sort of disappear,
Yes.
like and crumble to mist. Yeah, I'm using Lord of the Rings just because it's like a lot of the ways
It feels like it as well.
feels like
So
it. Yeah,
yeah.
and you know what? It does make me think they're like, we really could do with a Thay campaign. I think it
Yeah.
is like it's freaking cool, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, and I don't know why they didn't do it after the I thought slight, not as great success, but it was for people in D&D success of the movie. Like
Yeah.
jumping into a Thay campaign, would be really great.
When I watched the movie, I had no idea who any of the people were because
Oh,
again,
right.
I'd never read that far into it, and I'd never read the Thay adventure from Yawning Portal. Obviously, I know the other adventures as well. So yeah, I'd be interested to know. Like, I know red wizards are a thing from other things, but I didn't know who they were or what their significance was. I thought they were a brand new thing for the movie. So that shows how little knowledge that I have in terms of D&D lore.
Yeah, no, I knew about them a bit, and I knew about the necro, whatever it is, where when he transformed the whole of the people of Thay in this massive ceremony into undead and took all their life force and made himself into a super lich and stuff. So I did know little bits of it. It does actually make me, though, think that there is Thay Land of the Wizards actual source book that was written by Ed Greenwood himself.
Oh, okay. So,
of Forgotten Realms.
Realms, yeah.
Yeah. Only last year.
For now, let's leave this let's leave this godforsaken Ironspire Keep and hope that more again. Positives.
Yeah,
it's free. You learn how to run combat. It's fine. You know, it's got the basic bones of an interesting session of like a siege, which a lot of D&D sessions don't do. We've improved it tenfold. Please take our points and do it instead. But it's free. Yeah, Hold Back the Dead. You can get it on D&D Beyond as part of the 50th year sort of celebration and stuff. And hopefully, like I said, I hope there are more of it. I know we're always a bit down about it, but it's like, it feels like, you know, when there's been so much love that's been put into these books and we're trying to get people into playing again and playing this particular version of it, you need more seed hooks. We need more interesting like creativeness on it. So yeah, go check it out and see. And I know obviously we've got other things coming out. We've got more UA for the Forgotten Realms book that's just come out. I know you said
started reading it.
You were just reading it yourself.
Relatively interesting. I think the first one I read had a different take on things. Circle of the Moon, Druid reboot, which was quite interesting. And it's all based on the Moonshade Isles, and it was kind of, I thought they did actually quite that was interesting. So yeah.
Oh, well, maybe at some point we'll have a look at. We'll maybe go back to our old UA days. We'll see how it is. But Hamilton, thank you so much as always for joining in my rants, my highs, my lows, my positivities. Where can we find you, my friend? What are you up to on the internet?
All I've been talking about at the moment is my Wraithborn Kickstarter, which is coming out in February. I'm still debating if I launch it a bit earlier. I don't know, because I'm actually ahead of myself. I've been rushing through it. So there you go. Lots of art out there in the world. But yeah, come and join the 487 other people that are following the campaign. I know, and help us reach our first stretch goal, which will mean we will be able to do a really cool miniatures add-on for it. It's in a land of undead. It's all very gothic. So yeah, come and find that at Kickstarter. But
did you find it? So I'll say to the listeners, Hamilton just brushed off and brought back a book which has Dr. Zeus on it. So I'm ready. I'm sat down. I'm ready for this performance.
Okay, yeah. Oh, okay. I know you can edit this so that we get closer to it being...
It's like a dramatic reading or something.
Well, Fiona, we're at the end of the episode, aren't we? So all there is to say is, and now good night. It is time to sleep. So we will sleep with our pet Zeep. Today is gone. Today was fun. Tomorrow is another one. Every day from here to there, funny things are everywhere. Aren't they, Fiona?
Amazing. Yes, they are everywhere. Where? What am I rolling? A twice monthly tabletop RPG one-shot podcast. The only podcast that will get a Dr. Zeus reference as a way to introduce it as a plug. Fantastic. Oh, amazing. So we do lots of different RPG systems. We do interviews with game designers. We've got some live streams happening. We've got Too Long Didn't Reads. Come check us out. We're all over the internet at What Am I Rolling? And yeah, come check us out on the Discord as well, where you can come chat to us both about D&D stuff and about RPGs. We're a big fan of doing different RPG systems and talking about obviously how we can improve them, as we have done today. So yeah, thank you so much for that. Oh, amazing. I should just hire you to do that every single time as a way to entrance me to most rooms now. I appreciate it.
Okay, yeah, I'll do it. I mean, that is literally the last line, so I could do the whole of the book just to get to that
last line. It's very dramatic, like a red wizard would do. Like, haha, yeah. Imagine Szass Tam just be like, big illusion, and goes, wherever you'll go. You know?
One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish.
Red wizard, zombie. Wait. Oh,
Exactly.
amazing. Oh, well, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week with another episode, but until then, we will
See
see
you on the
you on the
flip
flip side.
side. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.